Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with the same module, that is a research skill, but the new chapter, that is the chapter number 3, that is the research. What are the various components of the research? That is the research, the components. So let's start with the previous class session, what we have covered in the last class. In the last class, basically we have started with chapter number 3, that is the research, the components. So what are the various components of the research that is available? That is chapter number 3, that is the component. So we have started with the chapter number 3 and we have covered some topics of the chapter number 3. So let's start with the previous class session what we have covered. So we have started with chapter number 3, that is this chapter useful to me? That is the first question that is asked, that is this chapter is useful to me or not. Whether I'm taking this chapter, whether I'm doing this chapter, whether I'm studying this chapter, if this chapter is useful to me or not. So the total overview of the research skills and the procedure is presented in this chapter. And this information is useful to all the teachers as well as the student. That is, what are the various components of the research by which we can divide the research into the multiple parts, that is the research, the components. And what will I find in this chapter? That is the research model and the research skills continuum and the research level continuum. So that is there are two models, there are two parts that is covered in this topic in this chapter, is the research model, and the second one is the research skills continuum and the research level continuum. So this is the code that is given, the method of investigating or teaching which appropriate or approaches most nearly to the method of investigation is comparably the best, since not content with serving up a few barren and lifeless truth. It reaches to the stroke from which they grow. That means it reaches to the stroke, or it is moved to the stroke that is growing with the various stages, that is growing with the research skill continuum. And these are the various stages that we have discussed. One is the planning, information retrieval. These are the various topics, or we can say skills that is used in these stages. So first is the planning. That include establish the topic, identify the information sources, audience and the presentation format, then evaluation criteria, then review process. So these are the various skills of the stage planning. Then next is the information retrieval, that contains the skills like locate resources, collect resources, review process. Then next stage is the information processing, that also contains various stages, skills like choose the relevant information, evaluate the information, organize and record the information. So these are the various skills that is done by that is performed by the information processing. Then information sharing, that presents the finding, demonstrate the appropriate audience behavior, review process. Then evaluation. These are the various stages, and we have discussed multiple stages, or two stages in detail in the last class. That is the planning and the information retrieval. So that is a planning, that is a first stage, that contains various levels, that contains various skills that is required. So first is the establish the topic, and there are two categories, one is from the teacher level, one is from the student level. So for establishing the topic, the teacher must develop with the student an understanding of the purpose of the research, that is what is the main purpose of the research, why teacher is using the, or why teacher is getting the knowledge with the student. So teacher develop with the student with the understanding for the purpose of the research, that what is the main purpose uh, for which we are going to study this research skill topic. A teacher determine topic or provide the limited option, that is what are the various limited options that is used in the, or that is covered under the topic. Then teacher leads the student to share the experience and knowledge of the topic, that is what is the main knowledge, what is the main shareable thing that is covered under the topic, that is the shareable content. Then teacher also help the student develop and organize the questions. These are the various introductory level that is established by the teacher, and this is the advanced level that is established by the student. So student establish the purpose for the research, that is what is the main purpose for the research. Students choose a specific topic, that is what is the very specific topic, or what is the specific topic that the student is going to take for the research. Then next is the student clarify the topic by examining what they already know or consulting a variety of the resources. Then student also develop the research questions which focus on the new areas of knowledge and the application. And then the next skill is identify the resource or information sources. That is, what are the various information sources by which we can gain the information, by which the teacher can gain the information. So teacher lead the class in brainstorming for the sources of information. That is, what are the various sources of information by which the information can be gained. Then teacher introduces the format for collecting the information. That is, what is the main format for collecting the information. Then students survey information sources in the school and community. That is, what is the main school, what is the survey information success, that is, what are the various sources that is used in the information success, that is for getting the information in the school and the community. Then students choose the format for collecting the information. That is, what are the various information that is chosen up for identification of the resources, that is identify the source information. The next is identify audience and the presentation format. So this is the next skill that is required in the planning also. So the teacher determine the audience and the presentation format. That what is the audience, what is the background of the audience, and what is the presentation format that is used by the, or that is carried out by the audience. Then students also choose the audience and the presentation formats from the limited option. There are the limited option that is occupied, that is covered. So students must identify what are the various audience and what are the various presentation format. Then student also determine the size and the character of the audience and choose a presentation format. So it is a responsibility of teacher and the student both to determine the size and the character of the audience and what are the various presentation format that is covered in this one. The next is establish the evaluation criteria. That is, what is the evaluation criteria that is carried on. So teacher makes the student aware of the evaluation criteria. That is, what is the evaluation criteria for the content and the process. That is, how the teacher aware the student, how the teacher makes the student aware that what is the evaluation criteria for the content and the process. That is establishing the evaluation criteria. The next, student understand or help develop evaluation criteria for both the process and the content. That is, what is the main process that is carried out, and how the student will get the evaluation criteria. So student also understand and develop what are the various evaluation criteria that is taken up. Then the review process. Then the teacher also record the resource plan. That is what is carried out in the planning process. The next stage is the information retrieval. That is how to retrieve the information. There are three stages in the information retrieval also. First is the locate resources, then collect resources, then last one is the review process. In the locate resources, the teacher identifies the useful resources. So at the name advice, locate resources, that means find out what are the various resources, what are the various useful resources that is available, that is the locate resources. And students are taught to use the standard location tools such as the card or the computer catalog, encyclopedia and the magazine. So these are the various tools that is getting out, that is carried out by the students. So students are taught to use the standard formats or standard occupation or location tool that is covered, that is available, such as the card or the computer catalog. So these are the various tools that is covered or that is occupied by the students. So student must be taught by the teacher, and teacher also guide the student in the use of the table of the content, table of the content, indexes and the glossary, and what are the various terms and the keywords that is given for the searching. So teacher helps the student in getting the on locating the resources from the indexes, from the glossary, from the content, and also use the keyword for the searching. Now what is the role of the student? The student uses the standard tools for locating the information, such as what are the various tools that is guided by the teacher. Student must follow that tools like card or the computer catalog, encyclopedia indexes, magazine indexes, then bibliographics, then catalog of non-print characters or resources, then online databases, then telephone and other directories. So these are the various tools or standard tools that is used for locating the information. And students also generate the possible search terms using the standard thesaurus and or subject reading list. Then after locating the resources, the next step is collecting the resources. So when anyone or when teacher or the student locate the resources, that what are the various resources that is available, then how to collect the resources, that is a collection of the resources. The teacher also help the student find a variety of appropriate and accessible print, non-print, and community resources. Now what are the various resources that is available, that is how to collect them. So teacher must guide the student, that is how to collect them by using the books, magazine, film strips, videotapes, interviews, etc. And student also learn the routines required to borrow the resource material from their school library. That is how the resource material will be carried out from the school library. Then student also or teacher also shows the student how to use the audio visual equipment, that is how to use the presentation, how to use any audio visual equipment that is required, such as the audio cassettes, recorder, video cassettes, and overhead projector. So what are the various tools that is required, or that is the teacher must guide the student, that is how to use. And teacher and the student also review the material collected and make a preliminary list of the resources, that is what are the various preliminary lists that is of use for the resources. And student also find a variety of appropriate print, non-print, and the community resources, including the specialized material such as almanacs, yearbooks, subject-specific handouts or handbooks, dictionaries, atlases or atlas, encyclopedia, periodical. So these are the various tools, material that is used with the student to find a variety of the technology to collect the information from various sources. So these are the various sources that is available. Now students access the resources from different libraries and outside sources. For example, the special resource collection, community resource and the agency, special library. So these are the various special libraries that is covered from the sources, that is student can gain the access. And students also use a variety of equipment as required, like computer, logic, CD-ROM player, etc. Then students also review the type and the quantity of resources that is collected and prepare a working bibliography. Now this is the next part of this same stage, that is the information retrieval, that includes the teacher discuss with the student whether there is a sufficient information is available to answer the research question or not, whether the information that is available is sufficient to require the or to use for the sufficient record or not. And from the student point of view, student also determine if the further information is required, need to be revised, that is if the extra information is required for the review process or not. So this is from the both of the end, that is the review, that means taking the consideration if the sufficient resources are collected and they are located or not. That is the review means find out or evaluation. Now stage 3 is the information processing, that is how to process the information. The first step is choose the relevant information. So out of the available resources, out of the available information, choose the best possible information, that is the relevant information. So students read, listen and view to gather information to answer the research question. That is what are the students must read, listen and view. What are the various ways to gather the information to answer the research questions. An instruction is provided in appropriate strategies, that is what are the various instructions that is provided in best strategies, that is the scheming, scanning, that means we can also scan the information. So there are multiple options by which we can by which the teacher guides the student, that is how to take the strategy or which strategy, which tool is used for the relevant information. So first is the scheming, then scanning, then interpreting maps, graphs and pictures, then QSR, that is a question, scheme, read, then tune in, analyze, respond, review, then SQR or SQ3R, that is survey, question, read, recite, review. Then student also read, listen and view to gain the pertinent information about the topic, and student also choose and use the strategies appropriate to the resources being used. So it's the responsibility of the student to choose and use the strategic approaches. So what are the various strategic approaches that is used to the resources being used. So after choosing the relevant information, now next is evaluate the information. That means check whether the information is correct or not. So teacher assess the student to differentiate between the fact and the fiction. That what is the main fact and what is the fiction, what is the output that is available, that is evaluate the information. Then teacher also assess the student to consider the accuracy and the currency of source. That is what is the main accuracy, what is the main source of the information that is used. So student or the teacher also assess the student to consider the accuracy and currency of the source. Then teacher also assess the student to recognize adequacy of the information, that whether the adequate information is available or not. So teacher also assess the student to recognize adequacy or adequate information is available or not. That is evaluate the information, whether we are going to do the processing, whether the adequate information is available with the teacher or not. And student also differentiate between the facts and the fiction, that what is the main difference between the fact and the fiction, what are the various standards that is available for the various goods, various information. So what is the main difference between the fact and the fiction, between the fact and the opinion, between fact and the theory. So fiction, opinion and the theory that is related to the fact. In the same way, there is also a differentiate between the hypothesis and evidence, hypothesis and the generalization. Now, teacher also assists the student to consider the accuracy and the currency of the source, whether the currency or whether the mm, information is accurate or not. And student determine accuracy, authority and the reliability of the source. That is recognizing the primary and the secondary sources. That is what are the various primary and the secondary sources that is a part of the information. The student must determine the accuracy, authority and the reliability of the source. Then student also recognize author's point of view, bias and underlying the assumptions of the value. That is what are the various author point of view that is available, that is used for the writing, that is used for the content, that is used for the values. So next is the organize and the record information. That is how to organize and how to record the information. That means how to put the information in a systematic manner and how to record the information. So student make notes using the words or the picture to complete a simple outline chart or the web. So for organization or for recording purpose, the student make the notes using the words. So student make the notes by using the pen paper, by using the pencil or the pictures to complete a simple outline chart or the web. So to complete a simple outline picture or the web, student makes a note using the words or the picture to complete a task, to complete a simple outline or simple outline chart or the web. And teacher also provides a format to record simple bibliographic information. That is how to, or teacher also provides the format. That is what is the main format. Give the format that is to record the bibliographic notes information. That is the author, title, copyright, date, media type, etc. That is storing the information, organizing the information. And student makes a notes using appropriate models such as the diagramming, mind mapping, retrieval charts, note cards or the computer files. Student also make the notes using various models such as the diagrams, mind mapping tools, retrieval charts, note cards or the computer files. Then teacher also provides a format to record the bibliographic notes, and student also record the information that is needed for bibliographic. Now next is make connection and the interferences or inference. That is how what is the main role of how the teacher make the connections and how teacher make the inferences. Next part is the making the connections and the inferences. That is how to make the connection or what are the various steps to make the connection. From the teacher point of view, the teacher helps the student compare the information from two or more sources. So it helps or the student will get the help from the teacher. That is how to get the information on the or both the teacher and the student compare the information from two or more sources. That is also the making the connection and the inferences. Then teacher also help the student make generalizations and state the relationship between the concept. That is what is the main relationship between the concept, what is the generalization method. That also helps the student, the teacher also helps the student to make the generalization and the relationship between the concepts. And teacher also help the student combine information to answer the research question. So both the teacher and the student combinedly get the information to answer the research question. That is what are the various research question. That is from the teacher point of view, that is from the teacher side, that is the make connection and the inferences. And for the student point of view, from the student point of view or student getting information from the student directed information, students compare and synthesize the information from several resources. That is what are the various resources that is available. The student compare the resources, compare the information from the various resources. Then student develop or revise a thesis statement. That is what are the various thesis statement or student develop that is they made a thesis statement or the we can say the research statement that is available. And student also formulate the alternative answer, solution, conclusion or decision to the research question. That is what are the various solution to the question, that is a research question, what are the various solution to the conclusion, what are the various solution to the decision to the research question. So what is the decision on the basis of the research question, what is the solution on the basis of the research question, what is the conclusion that is made after getting the research question, getting the make question and the inferences. Then next is the create product. So student also prepare a presentation such as simple report from the notes and or a student and teacher generated outlines. Student also get the or prepare a presentation on the simple report from the note. That is, a simple report is taken up, that is getting the information from the simple reports teacher and teacher generated outline. Then next is student also prepare a presentation on the simple illustrations, charts or the graph. That is how to make the simple illustrations or how to represent the information, or how to make the or prepare a presentation using the simple illustrations, charts or the graphs. Then also provides the information or prepare a presentation including the model, mural, tape recording, etc. And student may also use the computer for the word processing, that is creating the product. That is the next phase, that is how to create the product by using the PPT, that is a presentation, or by using the computer for the word processing. And students also prepare the final bibliographic in the MS Word, Excel, anything that is using, that is prepare the final bibliography. And from the student point of view, student prepare a presentation such as a research paper or an essay, map, charts, graphs, picture, illustrations of the timelines, film, slides or the videotapes, debate, panel, discussion. So student also prepare a presentation, that is how to get the presentation such as the research paper, essay, map, charts, illustrations of the timeline that is used. And student also use computers for the word processing or preparing the charts. So student also use the computer for making the charts on the MS Word, that is the word processing, or preparing the graph, charts or other graphics. And it is also the responsibility of the student to prepare the final bibliography and the footnote. That is how to prepare the final bibliographic notes, that is final content of the course that is used, that is the final bibliography, and the footnotes that is available at the end of the document, that is a footnote. Then revise and the update, that is the next step, that is the next skill that is required in the information processing. So revise and the update, that is how to revise the content and how to update the content or edit the content. So students with the assistant of the teacher or the peers. Peers means at the same level of the teacher if any guidance is available. So so sorry. That is the student with the assistance of the teacher or the peer. So if the teacher is available to guide the student or the peers is available, anyone who is guiding the student, review the information to delete the repetitive and the irrelevant information. So they delete or they review the information with the assistance of the teachers, whether to delete the unnecessary information, whether to delete the repetitive and irrelevant information or not. And students edit or rephrase or rehearse the presentation with teacher and the peer assistant. It's also the student's responsibility to edit or rehearse the presentation with the teacher or the peer assistants. Then student also check for the vocabulary, sentence structure and the mechanics with the teacher and the peer assistant. So student also check for the vocabulary, that is what is the vocabulary that is used, what is the sentence structure that is used, what is the mechanisms that is used for the revision, for the editing. So student check for the vocabulary whether this is correct or not, and if there is any incorrection, so he or she student can edit the content and use the mechanism with the teacher and the peer assistants. And from the student point of view, student re-examine the information for relevance to the intended focus and the format. So student also re-examine the information for the relevance to the intended focus and the format. Then student added with the peer assistant. That student added with the peer assistant, that what is the peer assistant by which they are getting the information. Then student also check for the coherence and the mechanics, that is what are the coherence that is used and what is the mechanics that is used. So student also check for the coherence and the mechanics. And after all these skills that is required for the student, that is required by the teacher and the student in the information processing, the last step is the review process. So student and the teacher reflect on the information processing activities, noting specific ideas for the improvement. That is, they review whether there is any specific idea, whether there is any activity that is carried out, so whether there is any idea that is used for the improvement, that is a review process. So teacher and the students reflect on the information processing activities, that is what are the various information processing activities that is carried out and what are the various areas for the improvement. Then from that side, student also reflect on the information processing activities, noting specific ideas for the transfer to other situations, that is how to transfer to other situations that is carried out. So they reflect on the information processing activities noting the various ideas for transfer to other situations. Then next, so this is the stage, that is the stage number 3, that is information processing. Now next stage is the stage number 4, that is the information sharing, that is how to share the information, that is the information sharing. The first part is that, or the first skill that is required is that is the present findings, that is what are the various present findings, or what are the various skills required for the present findings. So student present information to a partner or small group within the school. So student present their information to their partners, to their colleagues, to their classmates, or the small group within the school. That is present the findings to some in instead of someone, or in front of someone. That is the student present the information in front of the small group that is available in the school. This is one of the example, that is a level. Then student demonstrate the presentation skills with attention to format, purpose and the audience, that is the quality, layout, titles, color, spacing, visibility, volume, clarity, vocabulary, expressions. Student gain the information or demonstrate the presentation skills with the attention, that is what is the format that is taken out, what is the purpose that is taken out, what is the audience, that is what is the quality of the audience, layout, title, color that is used, that is spacing, visibility mode, volume, expression, evidence of the rehearsal. So student demonstrate the presentation skills with an attention to format, purpose and the audience. So student present that information, collect the finding, present the finding among the peer group, among the small group within the organization or within the school. That is, they take one or two people as a group and present that finding, present that presentation to that small group with their quality, with their layout, with their spacing, with their colors. And on the other hand, student also present to the individuals, groups, classes within the schools. As I said, the student also present the information to the individuals, group, classes within the school, and also to the individuals or the group out of the school. So it's not mandatory to represent the information in the school only, no, but that information can also be presentable outside the school, but within the group, that is 2 or more peoples. Then students demonstrate the increased presentation skills for sharing the information with attention to format, purpose and audience, by also including the pitch, enunciation, pace, handling of question and technical understanding. So students also demonstrate the increased presentation skills for sharing the information, that is how to share the information, which format is to use, which attention to format, purpose and the audience, by also including the pitch, enunciation, pace, handling of question and the technical understanding. That is the present finding, that is from the student point of view. The next is demonstrate appropriate audience behavior. That is the next part, that is the demonstrate appropriate audience behavior. So from the student teacher point of view, student demonstrate the appropriate social skills, that is what are the various social skills. So student demonstrate the appropriate social skills that is required. Then student also ask the appropriate questions. So this is the demonstrate the appropriate audience behavior, that is what is the appropriate audience behavior. Then student respond in written form to the presenter. So student also respond in the written form to the presenter to demonstrate the concept, to demonstrate the behavior of the concept. Then teacher and the student make the positive constructive comments. Then students also demonstrate the empathetic listening behaviors, demonstrate on the ability to develop the follow-up inquiries. Then student also respond to or summarize the presentation in paragraph or point form. This is a demonstrate the appropriate audience behavior, that is how to demonstrate on the appropriate audience behavior. And this is the review process of this step or stage, that is the information sharing, that is how to share the information. So this is also the one of the concept of the information sharing. So demonstrate the audience behavior, demonstrate in place of multiple persons, whether the small group or the long group. Then review process is teacher and the student reflect on sharing activities, noting specific ideas for the improvement. That is teacher and the student follow the sharing activity, that is what are the various sharing activity and what are the various specific areas for the improvement. Then from the student point of view, student also reflect on sharing the activity, noting the specific idea for transfer to the other situations. That is also the other part. Now the last stage that is left, that is the stage 5. So after information gathering, retrieval, sharing, the last step is the evaluation. That is evaluate the content, evaluate the things. That is the stage number 5. That is the evaluation. Last stage is the stage number 5, that is the evaluation. That is after getting the information retrieval, after information processing, after information sharing, the last step is the evaluate the things, whether the things are going well or not. That is the evaluation. And from the teacher point of view, these are the various steps, these are the various stages, these are the various skills that is required for the evaluation. The first one is the evaluate the product. So the teacher uses the pre-established evaluation criteria. So there is a pre-established evaluation criteria throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures. So teacher uses the pre-established, that is fully established, or we can say the automatically or firstly or pre-established evaluation criteria. That is, what is the evaluation criteria throughout the research stage? That is, throughout the research stage, what is the content criteria that is carried out, and throughout the research stage, skills and the procedure that is carried out with the research skills, with that is carried out with the content available. So that is carried out, that teacher uses the pre-established evaluation criteria throughout the research stages. That is, whatever the stage, that whether it may be a whether it may be a pre-established format, whether it may be a information retrieval, whether it may be a information processing, whether it may be information sharing, whether it may be any stage. So teacher uses the pre-established evaluation criteria throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures, right? And students are provided with the tools for the peer and the self evaluations. That means they themselves provide, or they themselves uses the peer and the self evaluation concepts. And teacher uses a variety of evaluation criteria throughout the research stages, skills and the procedure. The same concept that is used over here. In this, the teacher uses a pre-established evaluation criteria, and this teacher uses a variety of evaluation criteria. That is not mandatory that uses a pre-established evaluation criteria. No, that is not mandatory. But the teacher uses a variety of evaluation criteria throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures. Then next is, students are provided with the tools for the peers and the self-evaluation. So students are provided with the tools, that is, what are the various tools that is required for the peer level and the self-evaluation criteria. Then students are uses predetermined criteria for the peer and the self-evaluation. So for evaluate the product, students are provided with the tools, any tool that is used for the peer and the self-evaluation. So students are provided with the specific tool that is used for the peers and the self-evaluations. And the student also uses the predetermined criteria for the peer and the self-evaluation. The next stage, or the next part, is the evaluate the research procedures and the skills. That is the evaluate the research procedure that is required and the skills, what are the various skills required. So the teacher assesses the extent to which the research plan was followed. That is, teacher assesses whether the content is available or not, whether the research plan was followed or not. So teacher assesses the extent to which the research plan was followed. Then student take part in conferencing with the peers. So this is also the one of the level, one of the stage, one of the concept that is used. So student also take part in conferencing or take the conference with the peers, teacher or teacher librarian, and using this criteria such as the time management, group participation skills and the cooperative learning skills. So with the use of the conferencing with the teachers or the peers, the student also gain the time management, that is how to manage the time, how to make the group participation, how to make the GD, that is the group discussion skills, and also the cooperative learning skills. So this is also one of the main content or last step, that is the evaluation. In this, they are generating the students content, they are generating the student skills for the participations in the group, time management, cooperative learning skills. Then teacher also accesses or access the individual and the group participation skills. So teacher also access or assess the individual and the group participation skills. So it's the responsibility of the teacher to assess whether the individual participation skills are more than the group, or the group are more than the individual. That is, they assess both the individual and the group activities. On the other hand, the teacher uses a variety of evaluation criteria throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures. So teacher also uses a variety of evaluation methods, criteria, that is throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures. Then student also uses predetermined criteria for the peers and the self-evaluation. So first part is teacher uses a variety of evaluation criteria methods throughout the research stages, skills and the procedures, and the student also uses the predetermined criteria, and student individually or with the peers. So it depends on the stage to stage. Student either individually or with the peers identify and evaluate the research steps. That is, what are the various research steps that is used. So they individually or with peers identify the research skills or research steps. That is, what are the various steps that is used to evaluate the research procedures and the skills. And student also take part in conferencing with the peers, learning and or teacher librarian. So student also take the part in conferencing with the peers, teacher and teacher librarian. So they also take part in the teaching or conferencing. That is whether they part in the conferencing with the peers, teacher or the teacher librarian or not. Then after these two stages, the last step is the review the process. That is, how to review the process of the evaluation. So class select one or two or suggestions. That is, the total whole class select two or more suggestions or one or two suggestions for the improvement to apply to other research activities, whether they are applying to the other research activities or not. And the teacher and the students also reflect on the complete research process, noting areas of the strength and ideas for the improvement. That is the review process. And students also analyze the teacher, peer and the self-evaluation to identify strength and the areas for the improvement. That is, how to analyze the teacher or peer and the self-evaluation to identify the strength and the areas for the improvement. And students reflect on the complete research process, noting the specific idea for the completion or transfer to other situation. This is the review process. That is, how to review the evaluation method, how to review the evaluation step, that is whether the evaluation is a correct or not. Right. Now next chapter is the chapter number 4, that is what are the various curriculum links that is used in the research skills. So the next chapter is chapter number 4, that is a curriculum links. That is, what are the various curriculum links that is used in the research skills. That is, what in the research process. That is, what are the various curriculum links. This chapter I am going to start in the next class, that is in the Monday's class. So that's all for today's session. And one thing I want to say, that there is no strength for this module, that is the research skills. I don't know why, because there is no student available. So how can I teach you? I don't know. But please try to understand and try to join the class whenever you have a time. So that's all for today's session.